Okay, good morning. This is Josh Wagner with the Montana Department of Agriculture, Early Detection Rapid Response Coordinator. And I'm going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot to cover today. Today's our special guest is Jason Allen, the Montana Department of Education, or Montana Department of Transportation Weed Coordinator. He works with all of us, very important job. So I wanted to give him an idea, or give him a chance to give all of us an idea of how we can work together better, what he's been doing, and things like this. I'm going to start out with a quick update on what I've been doing. I'm going to try to keep my portion to 20 minutes so that we can give the majority of the time to Jason. And so I'm not going to cover every species that I've worked with all of you this summer on. I'm just going to focus on a few important ones. If you have questions, type them in the Q&A box, and Jason and I will address them at the end. And then twice during the meeting, I'll ask for your license number and your name so that you can get credits for this if you'd like. So let's go. So you all probably know the first or the main weeds I work on are the top 3 priorities. Sometimes I work on things that aren't actually on the list. Some of the 2As I don't really work on. And the reigning champion for the worst weed in Montana, in my opinion, the most difficult, is still rush skeleton weed. It takes a lot of my time. Those of you who have it, I know it takes a lot of your time. We all think about it a lot, worry about it a lot, maybe even cry about it a lot. So historically, rush skeleton weed has been centered in Lincoln and Sanders County on the west sides, Lake County southwest of Flathead Lake, and central Ravalli County. In the last couple of years, it's been increasing in Mineral and Missoula counties. Along the interstate corridor, you can see just the interstate corridor. And then we had 2 sites found in Lewis and Clark County 3 falls ago. One of those sites on Fort Harrison base, the initial site is doing very well, but there's a lot of plants coming around the initial site. And then the East Helena site, we caught it early, which is the point of this program, and we're pretty much beating it. So this is definitely one that Jason gets to deal with a lot, unfortunately. So this past summer, last 12 months, we've had a lot of news with rush skeleton weed, a lot of depressing news. We're kind of starting to lose the battle. Idaho has 4 million acres of rush skeleton weed. We're kind of standing at 4,000 acres, so 1/1000th of what they have. And we felt kind of proud that we've held it in check, but we had some escapes and some big new important sites the last 12 months. So we'll go from north to south. Lincoln County had a new spot north of Eureka, close to the Rooseville border crossing. It's a Nature Conservancy property, undeveloped grassland, beautiful site, hundreds of plants on less than an acre. So that's getting up there where that's pretty concerning for Alberta, because this is one Alberta doesn't yet have. Towards the end of the summer, we found out Flathead County, northeast of Big Fork, has about a half section, 300 plus acres, of quite a lot of it. This might be the new and the biggest and worst site in the state now. It's hay ground, barn dominiums, forest, tree plantations, farmsteads, roadside, maybe 10 or 12 different landowners. So Flathead County really stepped up big, specifically Noel. Appreciate her getting permission from all those landowners. Lincoln County came over, we treated that, got that all knocked out in one day. But when it gets to that many acres, we're going to be dealing with it for a very long time. Missoula County, they historically had mostly had it on the interstate. Well, now they have it in a large ranch on the east side of the valley, which, as we know, is If you've been in the Bitterroot, that's the dry side. Dry, untimbered hillsides, and rush skeleton weed loves that. So there's a large ranch there that keeps finding it. And then within the last couple weeks, they started finding it between Potomac and the interstate on Highway 200. So that's the first time it's moved up towards the Blackfoot. And then Lewis and Clark County, we got a new site out towards the northwest end of Canyon Ferry, right where Lewis and Clark County, Broadwater, and Jefferson counties meet. So that's 3 counties that are going to be affected by that site. And it's close to wheat, and rush skeleton weed is a major problem in wheat and other areas. And then Broadwater County down here, found individual plants in the right-of-way north and west of Three Forks in Highway 287 and then on the interstate. And then finally, Beaverhead County found about 5 new sites across the county through the summer. 1 to 2 plants, which is pretty amazing to find this at 1 to 2 plants. Very difficult plant to see, but especially concerning is they've never been considered an established county before. So to find all of a sudden all these new sites, but the main thing that's really interesting about it too is their high elevation, like 7,000 to 8,000 feet. So you're pushing into some pretty harsh climate, and the rush skeleton weed is surviving. Broadwater County, this is the site on the interstate. To find a plant that's this stemmy and hard to see with 1 plant, that's a great job. Good job to Broadwater County. Good job to the contractor they were using. Still, even when we have 1 plant, it requires extensive treatment. I'm sure Jason will share more on that. And then Beaverhead County, I mentioned the high elevation. 1 site was at Maverick Mountain. Beautiful place to work, but difficult to see these sites that high elevation sites stay green all year. They don't really, the grass doesn't senesce, makes it even harder to see the rush skeleton weed. And then there were sites in the mountains outside of Wisdom and Wise River. Those were associated with fires, which often spreads rush skeleton weed, especially if equipment is coming from Idaho. Amazing that these were even found. Huge county and finding these. Good job to them. The East Helena site, this is a Spokane Creek Road right here. This is Spokane Ranch Road right here. Canyon Ferry is just over the ridge here. This is the far east side of East Helena, and then Highway 12. So 1/4 acre was found here. Lewis and Clark County has Alex Lopez. He's been a really good partner with finding this stuff. He's found 2 sites. But this is concerning because you have all these nice homes right here with, I don't know, maybe 1 to 5 acre lots. And then you have these southeast facing slopes here heading over to Canyon Ferry. Rush skeleton loves that kind of stuff. And then we have about 3 miles of wheat fields here. And when you're out here, this is just wheat as far as you can see. And we've yet to get rush skeleton weed and wheat in Montana, and that's a big fear. So it's kind of a scary site. One way we're attacking rush skeleton weed is we have Greta's Noxious Weed Trust Fund grant program, and it really helps us with this difficult weed. So at the moment, Ravalli has 2 grants. Missoula has 1, and Missoula is covering Missoula or Mineral and Granite County. Good news is nothing was found in Granite. Lake County and Sanders County each have a grant. And then Lincoln County has a grant. And Lincoln County houses the task force for the whole state. Mark Andresen runs that. And they've helped all 4 of these counties. They also helped Beaverhead County this year. I didn't want to muck up the map by drawing an extra long arrow. But this is how things get done, working together. So big thanks to Lincoln County for doing that. That really helps. And then because of Flathead and Beaverhead counties having these new sites, it's possible that they might be in line for grants coming up too. Lewis and Clark County still has just very little, so I don't think they're ready for a grant yet. What we do with these grants is Like I said, Mark Andreessen's the coordinator, and then he has a 2-person strike team. This is one option to do with your grant. Usually college kids. All they do all summer is visit these sites and treat them. Mark traveled almost 6,000 miles, and his strike team traveled almost 8,000 miles. Things are getting better. The red points are within the last 3 years. So you see a lot of these sites are getting older. Slowly getting better. They're at least holding steady. This is that new site north of Eureka that's concerning. Another grant idea that Missoula County is throwing around is can we replicate the success we're having with Dyer's Wood with rush skeleton weed? And I hear that a lot from you partners out there that deal with rush skeleton weed. It's such a hard weed to find. Can we get a dog on it to help us find it? So that is a hope. And this is the Springdale Dyer's Wood site. We continue to have success with Dyer's Wood. This is Tobias. Tobias just retired. He was a great dog. So if you get a chance to talk to anyone from Working Dogs, give them their condolences for losing Tobias to the easy life. Ventonata, another one Jason works a lot on. He might be the most important partner on the state on this one because it really likes to move on roadsides. So we got 2 new counties this year. Broadwater was actually on the map at one time, and then we determined that we never really could find that site, never confirmed that it was there, so they came off the list. And then they went back on the list this summer because Jason found a little bit. And that site is right down here in the southern end by Three Forks. So you see it's threatening Jefferson County. Galton County already has a lot of Ventonata. And then Judith Basin County got some. And it's right up here. Cascade County already had it. It's really close to Shadow County and not too far from Fergus County. So this is not good, and it's pretty scary because this northeastern, north central Montana has been our safe zone so far for the last 6 years since this has been listed. So now we have 28 counties, or half the counties in the state. This is that Judith Basin County site. Mike Hamill with DNRC. Huge congratulations to those guys for finding this. This is a very rural, remote site, beautiful site on the edge of the high woods, seemingly pristine, but likely it was utility installations, even out here in the middle of nowhere. So watch your utility installations, which is also something that Jason has to deal with. But big kudo to DNRC because there's not very much fentanyl out here yet, and hopefully it can be caught because we all know how fast it moves. Phragmites, we have this native subspecies in Montana, subspecies americanus. We had a kind of a scare last winter. 3 sites up in northwestern Montana where we hadn't seen the invasive before. You can see Mike Berdine there with one of the sites. He's a big boy and it towers over him. And then this other site, the stolons, even on this native Phragmites, the way it spreads, those stems fall over, and then every node shoots up a new plant. So these stolons are shooting out like 10, 20 feet right here. So even the native is weedy, so the invasive is much worse. We did find one unexpectedly. Greta found it. Another benefit of the trust fund grant program is she goes out and monitors the grants, and she saw something funny that would have never been seen because it was way off of a road. And it turns out it was the invasive. This had been grazed for a long time, so it's not really tall, but it's dense. Noelle here, Noelle's left her position with the Scudder Lab, and if you didn't know that, we're going to miss her, and it's going to be huge shoes to fill. Hopefully we'll see her back in the Montana plant world before too long. But she's holding a native stem. You can see it's a lighter green color. And then here's the native stem right here against the truck. You can see the seed heads are smaller, thinner, less dense, kind of tan colored, where the invasive is a blue-green and very purplish coppery colored seed heads. And then The native also has, late in the summer, red stems. The stems are smooth. You have to peel the leaf sheath away, and then you can feel the smooth stem in it, and they get this sunburned red color on them. Come to find out, I've looked at quite a bit of Phragmites last couple years. Well, we don't have a lot in Montana, but relatively quite a lot for Montana. And late August to October is the time that you can really tell. Other than that, it's difficult. Palmer amaranth and water hemp. We're still kind of the last state standing in the lower 48 with both of these species. But we did find more Palmer amaranth this year. Fortunately, mostly 1 or 2 plants per site. In Miles City, we found them at bird feeders, so watch out for that. We've also, a couple years ago, found one at a bird feeder in Shelby. They're putting dirty seed in there, and that's a great place for it to start, so watch that. Ekalaka found one on the roadside. Fort Benton, an agronomist found it in the field. Hill County, multiple sites, and that was a custom harvester from out of state, so we know dirty equipment can spread it. This is that Miles City one that was under a bird feeder, and Sarah Berger actually tagged me on Facebook and said, "Is this what I think it is?" And I didn't see it for a long time for some reason, because I guess I'm not that into social media. But it has that very poinsettia look to it, where pigweed, or red root pigweed, some of these other things in Montana don't have that poinsettia look. And then we found a field of water hemp in Valley County. It's a large field. It's probably been there for a while, so we'll see how that goes. Tansy ragwort. Lincoln County also coordinates the task force for tansy ragwort. They're the only county that's working on that. They have a grant for that. I mean, they're not the only county working on it, but they're the main driver. Most of it is on the east side of Lincoln County, where it meets Flathead County. They're really succeeding. So we're looking at moving this from a 2A to a 1B, and that's just a great news, great story. There's an outlying site in Lewis and Clark County up by Lincoln. You can see 2025 is the red points, and then the previous 8 years are the pink points. You can see how few sites we found this year. And we know where it's at, so it's not like we're missing it. We had 2 UTVs out there, and I was with Mark, and we might have found like 7 plants in half a day. So it's really good news. And then this is a site outside of Libby. Same deal. All the yellow is the previous 4 years, and then red is 2025. So we're just finding less and less. And we actually took Mike Hamill with the DNRC out one day, Mike and I did, and we spent the previous day scouting for it to show him where it's at. And we just had a hard time finding a good site to show him. So we're kind of winning the battle on this one, which is great for all of us, because I know how discouraged it can be when it feels like we lose the battle. Scotch broom, another one. We're attacking it hard. We feel like there's not much of it in Montana. We might be able to move it up the list. This is one Jason's also dealing with, and there's Jason right there. Blueweed. 2 counties are the main heart of blueweed, Ravalli County and Sanders County. Ravalli County has a grant. When Kelly's not working on rush skeleton weed, she's working on blueweed, and she's doing well. Sanders County under Rory now is really doing some good things. Their rush skeleton weed grant is going well. So they did a lot of mapping and are probably going to be trying to get a blueweed grant this year, which I think is great. This is another one on roadsides that Jason has to deal with. This is the far outlying site in Montana. It's Anaconda. This is an example of what we can do with the EDRR program. We can put together group projects anytime you need it, pretty much. This is Jasmine's boss, Kimma. You probably all know. So we get some of the big wigs out. Karen from Powell County, Ag Corps. That was a fun day. Not so much, because blueweed is a tough weed to pull with the fiberglass hairs. When we get weeds like this, we want to make sure we're incinerating them. We have the ability to do that in Victor, Plains, and Libby. and I can help you get those there since I travel a lot. Coming soon, the welding teacher from CMR up in Great Falls is making us a incinerator that I can put on the back of a trailer, and I can travel around. I can park it with you if you need to. We can do whatever. That'll be great, a great thing. And thanks to Jasmine for working that out. Megan has, I don't know, been working with Department of Ag now for, I'm guessing, over a year. She's doing all kinds of things, super busy, like you are and like we all are, but she's just awesome. And realtor training is one thing she can do. And then she also knows how to treat weeds, so she can jump in and help us on these group projects. This is a yellow flag iris we did up in Lincoln County. And then education, just continuing on the education. Kellyanne has completed the entire noxious weed list for the door hangers. If you need these, we can get them to you. Department of Ag is storing them now. And then she was excited that there's one door hanger that tells them that they need to legally take care of their weeds. And there's a point on all of these where you can put your business card or sticker or whatever. And with that, in the chat right now, not the Q&A, but in the chat, please type your name and license number if you want a credit. And I'm going to turn this over to Jason Allen. Again, he's the Montana Department of Transportation Weed Coordinator. He's an awesome partner. I've been in this job 4 years, and he started, I think, about the same time I did. He was learning from Bob Cloninger, and I think he's taken this program to the next level. And we better hope that he stays in this position because he really cares about weeds, and we need someone in this position that cares. He works in every county. State and federal agencies are reliant on his work, landowners. So, yeah, I'm just excited to have him and let him share today. This is that Broadwater County Ventnata site that he found. I'm pretty sure we were looking for Rush skeleton weed, jumped out, found this. So, Jason, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. Here, let me get my screen shared here. Okay. Yeah, good afternoon. I'm Jason Allen with Montana Department of Transportation. Josh kind of maybe gave me more credit than due, but appreciate him having me here. And I've been with the Department of Transportation for around 20 years now. Started out in the field, and with all those 20 years, I've had something to do with noxious weeds. The division and sections that I worked in, we treated our own noxious weeds in those sections. So I had quite a bit of field experience as well before I moved into the current position as the MDT noxious weed coordinator for maintenance. With that being said, MDT's got a lot of roadways, 14,000 miles of roadways that we deal with. That's more than 180,000 acres that we have to manage and try and treat. And as we all know, humans are the #1 vector for transporting weeds. So these corridors, it's a huge task to try and manage and keep from spreading all these noxious weeds across the state. We spend more than $3 million yearly treating noxious weeds. And inside of that, $1.7 million we spend just with our counties and contractors to help us with this. It's too big a task for us to do on our own, and it takes all of us to get it. And it really is a team effort. We have to rely on many partners to get this done. With that said, since I've become the noxious weed coordinator, I've tried to shift some of our budget to focus on these high priority noxious weeds because in my eyes, it's more proactive. Instead of being reactive, we're always going to have to manage knapweed. We're always going to have to manage leafy spurge. That's not something we'll ever give up on, but I don't believe we're ever going to eradicate those either. Whereas these high priority noxious weeds, we have a chance, if not to eradicate them, at least to contain them so they're not spreading and becoming the issues that knapweed and spurge have become. Um, that $1.7 million mostly is just management techniques trying to do the best we can. These are some of the collaborators. I apologize if I missed you. There's more than I could list here, really. And it takes everybody. We can't do this without everybody helping us. It's just too big a state. We can't keep eyes on everything. So I really appreciate everybody's help with this. And um, with that, a big shout out to the Department of Agriculture. This early detection rapid response program that Josh heads is crucial to what we do for high priority weeds. And it, I can't tell you how nice it is to have one point of contact to get everybody on the same page and come up with a plan on how we're going to manage the high priority noxious weeds and what we're going to do. With that being said, anyone that's on this call, please, if you could start using some of these apps, whether it's iNaturalist or EdMaps or whatever you prefer, just so that these are getting out there. When it goes into iNaturalist or EdMaps, it comes across a lot of our desks and helps us find these high priority noxious weeds, and we can't do without them. Some of the rush skeleton weed that Josh brought up today, the Beaverhead County, the Broadwater County, without contractors and county coordinators, we'd have never found that. And these were mature plants that had the potential to go to seed. And I think we have them contained. I'm hoping we're working at it, striving at to contain it so it's not spreading, right? And hopefully eradicate those sites. So it's not moving up these corridors. And those were both on interstate corridors with tons and tons of traffic. And it only takes one person pulling over and getting the wrong seed to move it up the state, right? That's what we don't want. When I'm talking about high priority noxious weeds, I consider these, in my eyes, your state listed weeds are the 1As, the 1B, the 2As. They're not widespread yet. And like I said, I think we have a chance to be proactive with these. Right away is probably one of the biggest vectors in our state for moving weeds. Whether it's hay trucks moving up and down the highway or who knows what it is, they're bringing the seeds in. So that's why we need to focus on these high priority weeds and keep them from becoming huge issues. It's a huge opportunity. We're all tax dollars, all taxpayers. These are all tax dollars, and focusing on these high priority weeds, I think, is one of the best uses of our tax dollars for treating, because we do have an opportunity to contain or eradicate it before it becomes a huge problem. I'll move into Scotch broom. This was a unique one. We were actually at an early detection rapid response meeting when we found out about it. I had no idea we had Scotch broom in the right of way. And it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I believe it was a coordinator from Idaho that said, "Hey, you got Scotch broom near our border and we don't want it."
Yeah, he told us the mile marker and everything.
Right. And we had no idea. So Josh and I jumped on this one. We've been treating it for a few years now. You can see all the collaborators that got involved with us, and everybody played a role in this. It wasn't technically in Lincoln County where it was at in the right of way, but they jumped into, and they don't want it in their county. So they're down there helping us treat it and keep it out of their county. So it really takes a huge group to manage these high priority noxious weeds. And it was a great collaboration. Unfortunately, Scotch broom's got seeds that are viable for 80 years, so this is going to be well past my career. But with that being said, I think we've contained it. I don't think it's going to move down the right of way with the way we're handling it. I've been up there twice a year for the last few years, and most of those Josh has been with me, and Lincoln County and Sanders County, everybody helping out with it. So it's been a great collaboration. I think we're definitely dwindling in numbers. Like I say, the seeds are so viable, I don't know that we'll ever eradicate it, but we're definitely containing it. One with this, I gotta thank our drone manager. Department of Transportation is starting to move into some drone technology, and he is mapping this one and using AI to help us locate and find it. So hopefully with that technology, we can have more of an opportunity to control it and keep it eradicated as much as possible. This is a map of the Scotch broom. So the orange areas are where it's most likely to grow. Um, so these checkered boxes are where it's located currently, and the checkered boxes are where up in the north corner in Sanders County, they're the only place that it's found on the right of way. So I don't know what some of these other locations are. I got to assume that they are probably ornamentals in somebody's yard, but I don't know that for a fact. So we don't have very much of it in the state. This is a good one to contain and keep from moving all over the state, because once you have it, you're probably going to have it for a very long time. Um, but yeah, limited populations. We're working hard on this one. Ventonata. This one's kind of my nemesis. This is the one I cut my teeth on as far as a high priority noxious weed. I was still in the field when this came about. I was in the Augusta area, and we were able to eradicate this in the Augusta area. It took some time and help from Jane Mangold and many other people to figure out how to eradicate it. Um, it was it's a good one, a good battle, but I don't know that we're winning this battle per se, but we have contained it. Every year it's coming up in new areas. Um, it's a tough one because with Department of Transportation, we're our own worst enemies with this one. Uh, our equipment, when we mow in the right of way, is the perfect timing to spread the seeds. With that being said, we've changed our policies and how we do business to making sure we're cleaning mowers on a daily basis and doing the best we can not to move seeds, but it's still a very difficult task, right? Um, Current procedures on small infestations work from outside in, and if possible to spray the whole thing, we do. Um, One thing I would like to point out with Ventonata, in the right of way, we don't have livestock, so it's a lot easier for us, but we still have to do overspraying. The seed, you need to be cognizant of where it's at and treat a little farther than where it's at, or else it will pop up the next year outside of where you treated. Um, but it is very treatable. It is possible to contain it. However, some of the areas like on the west side, I-90, we are trying to keep it from getting to the asphalt edge by treating 20 plus feet from the asphalt out. That way we're not spreading seeds throughout the state. If a tourist or somebody pulls over, they're not catching the seeds and taking them to somewhere that doesn't have it yet. But it's too costly to treat everything. We're doing the best we can. We're trying to pick at it, and I'm hoping in the next 10 years we can at least contain all of the right of way, but it's a very difficult task with how expensive it is to treat. Thousands and thousands of dollars towards Ventonata trying to contain it and keep it from moving. I don't know that we're winning it, but doing our best. It, oh yeah, I want to thank these people too. Jane Mangold's been huge. Without her, we wouldn't know how to the best way to treat this. She's definitely influenced how we manage our Ventonata treatments. And Wyoming has been a great partnership. Um, they are taking the winter annual grass, which is what Ventonata is, to a very serious level and putting millions of dollars towards it. So we collaborated with them on our southern border and treated our right of way. So we're not moving Ventonata back into them in the areas they've treated. And it also treated our Ventonata, but also protected us from Medusa head, which we don't have yet. So that was a kind of a dual win for us, and working with them has been great, plus many others. This map here is kind of shows where Ventonata is right now. I know the suitability map shows that it's not suitable for everywhere in the state. I believe that's wrong. I think this noxious weed could grow pretty much anywhere. Anywhere you're going to see cheatgrass, I believe this can grow, and that's my opinion on that. But if you look, we kind of have a vacant area. Beaverhead County has some, but it doesn't have a lot of it, and it's not in the right of way yet. So we're trying to protect those corridors from that noxious weed moving down them. Did not happen in Broadwater County till Josh and I were out and found it, looking for our skeleton weed. I think it's still very limited, and we treated that right away, and I hoping that we eradicated it. And then You do see some of these checkered boxes down in the Miles City division. Those are not in the right of way yet either. We're checking them religiously, not currently there. The I-90 corridor headed into Wyoming, it's pretty prolific down there, and we're working to contain it and working to seal off the highway so that we're not spreading those seeds up and down the highway. That's going to be a very difficult one in the future. And if we start to see Medusa head, that's the area we'll start seeing Medusa head, I believe. Rush skeleton weed. It was the year of rush skeleton weed. And Josh and I spent a lot of time dealing with, as well as Lincoln County and many other partners. Lots of new random sites for 2025. So all of the new findings came from either county coordinators or their contractors, which is huge. That communication factor, I've talked about it a little bit, but it's key. It's just too big a state to do it without all our partners. That being said, if you do find something, notify us right away. That it was great that we got notified it, but the contractor waited about a week, maybe 10 days before they notified their county weed coordinator about the rush skeleton weed plant that was found in Beaverhead County, or not Beaverhead, excuse me, Broadwater County. And my guys mowed it before I could get to them and stop them from mowing it. So very hard to find when it's been mowed, and think of all the seeds that could have spread. Hopefully it didn't, but with that being said, both Beaverhead and Broadwater County, Beaverhead, they did it, the weed coordinator there took care of that for us. How I'm treating those news infestations, basically we're blanket spraying for a mile in both directions from the plants. It's a little bit of overkill, but we're taking this very serious. We don't want this moving up our coordinators. Have no idea how it got there. Got to assume it probably came off a vehicle coming out of Idaho, but we don't know. And pretty unique too is we were able to all go down there. We took Josh with the EDRR program, a couple of my guys, and then Lincoln County came all the way down to Beaverhead County and helped us search. And how Beaverhead County was able to find a couple plants in the right of way with nothing else around it, because we really didn't find any more, is a miracle. Big kudos to them on that. Same with the contractor in Broadwater County, how he found 2 plants in all of the right of way is amazing to me. My guys in the Bozeman division took care of the Broadwater County one. We did a mile and a half in both directions, blanket sprayed the whole right of way, trying to make sure that we got it. And we'll be watching these for years, right? It's not a one-time deal, hoping that we cured it and see what happens. There's going to be monitoring involved in all these sites for the next, probably the rest of my career. Newest one, Missoula County. It was actually a contractor for Powell County. Well, he contracts to Missoula County as well, that found this. And new site, mature plant. So now it's on Montana 200, which is just outside of Bonner, about 7 or 8 miles outside of Bonner. We didn't have it on Montana 200 before. It was just on the I-90 corridor in the Missoula County area. So new site, too late in the season to do a huge treatment in both directions. We are going to hit it hard in the spring, treat in both directions, and make sure we try and contain that one. The plants were clipped, bagged. The contractor that found it actually clipped and bagged them on site. There was a couple Missoula County sent somebody out, and I went and helped them, and we walked for about a mile in both directions and searched, and we didn't find any more plants except for at that one location. And there was probably 6 or 7 small plants there. None of those ones had gone to seed, so they were treated and killed. But like I say, late in the season, we're going to have to hit it hard in the spring on that one. I think this rush skeleton weed it has the potential to be the next knapweed if we don't contain it. So really appreciate Missoula County and all the weed corners that work hard to keep this from getting basically the west side of the Rockies. We have some infestations west of the Rockies, but it's very, very limited. So if we can hold the front lines and keep the rest of the state safe, and especially all our agriculture communities, I think it's going to be huge. Here's currently where you can see most of the locations. And it is traveling down the corridors. This one is a difficult one because it travels by seed very easily. It has seeds a lot like a dandelion. It can catch wind and move very easily. And once you have it, it's very difficult to kill. You might kill it for a few years, but it's probably going to come back. Its root system is substantial, has a rhizomatous root system, and you cut them roots and you get more plants. It doesn't take much to create more plants. So very difficult one to treat. And I'm really scared of this one. This is one that keeps me up at night. I'm sure Josh is in the same boat. I didn't bring up any slides about blueweed. I got a pretty good story about blueweed though. I got a email from one of my section supervisors up in the Kalispell area, actually out of the Hot Springs area. He says, I got this blue plant that they, right after a project, it came in and it's thick. He's like, I have no idea what it is. It says it's kind of pretty, but I have no idea what it is. I was pretty sure I knew what it was, and it was. So go up there, and it was blueweed. We tried to do a fall treatment on that year. It had already gone to seed, so there's no point to clip and bag it. But um, just one of those unique situations where all the eyes and the more education we get out there and all of us communicating, that's the key to all of this, right? That's the only way we're going to contain some of these high priority weeds and noxious weeds is the weed community and everybody working together. So anyone from the public or anybody that's out there, please be using iNaturalist, EdMaps, something. You see something out of the ordinary, map it. It gives us the opportunity to contain it, eradicate it, deal with it before it is a big problem, before it becomes the next knapweed. And with that, I just wanted to thank everybody again. I really appreciate all the weed coordinators and Department of Ag and the whole weed community that works and helps us protect our state from all these nasty, nasty weeds that could really damage our state aesthetically and economically. So, Josh, anything I missed?
No, I think it sounds good. I mean, I could ask you some questions. Do you have a contact slide by chance?
I don't. I would
Well,
grab one real
nuts.
quick.
Um, people have been typing in the Q&A box, and we've been answering those. Please keep those coming if you have any. There's got to be some things we can talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll grab a slide real quick with my contact information.
I talk to Jason multiple times a week, probably, but I could still think of things to talk to him about. Okay. We'll do some read off some of these questions. So approximately how many acres of rough skeleton weed do we have in the state? About 4,000 acres. So like I said, 1/1000th of what Idaho has with 5 million acres. And that's a success story. Where do we get the door hangers? There's no web link for that or anything like that. Just reach out to one of us in the weed department here at MDA, Greta, me, Megan, Jasmine. Go ahead and also go ahead and type your names and license numbers in the chat box again, please, so we know you made it through the whole thing. Then we asked if there was a question about if the TNC land north of Eureka was dancing prairie because there is a healthy population of a threatened plant called Spalding's catchfly. Yes, we do. That is where it's at, dancing prairie. And FWP has a conservation easement on that property, and they're aware of it, and Nature Conservancy is aware of it. And so we've been really careful how we treat that. We're using like a 1 or 2 gallon sprayer and very tightly spot spraying that. What factors have allowed for tansy ragwort to show decline? I think it's just staying on top of it every year. Number one, Mike Burdine and Mark Andresen have just making sure you get to those every year and you're not missing a year on biennials because you miss a year and then you make seed and then you're back to square one. And then getting cattle grazing off the sites has helped. Cattle grazing and logging certainly make it explode. The timber company, people that we work with up in northwestern Montana are really good about supporting the project. So it's probably more like private landowners that we see issues with logging, but the bigger timber companies, they care. They don't want weeds. And then Transline, using Transline instead of Milestone. I think Lincoln County was using Milestone at one point, kind of having a lot of collateral damage and maybe not spraying enough. Now with Transline, you can spray really aggressively and not hurt your trees. And then Scotch broom ornamentals. I don't think we have Scotch broom ornamental in Montana. Sometimes the Natural Heritage Program maps show sites too that I kind of wonder about. Maybe they're super old sites that were mistaken or something, but I believe we just have it in western Sanders County and then to a lesser extent in western Lincoln County. It's pretty rare in Lincoln County. I think mentioned Medusa head doesn't exist in Montana. I think Jason meant it doesn't exist on the roadsides. Is that he's not dealing with it on roadsides? We have a 1 acre patch in Lincoln County that we've been aggressively treating with indaziflam for a few years. See it come back
Correct.
in the
Yeah,
thin
Josh,
spots.
sorry. It's not in the right of way. We do have it in the state, but
Yeah.
I don't have it on the right of way that I know of.
Yeah, so we have that little site in Lincoln County. It starts to come back a little bit because we're using boom sprayer. So where it's thin, you'll see it again, but we're keeping right on top of it, pull it. And then there's a large site in the southern part of the CSKT tribal land that I think we're doing better and better on. And then we're certainly concerned about it coming up. And that's Jason's big concern coming up from northern Wyoming on I-25. Or whatever this is, that 25 or 94 or something there.
I-90 goes into Wyoming.
Okay. Let's see what else we have. So yeah, the biocontrol on tansy ragwort, we do have it here in Montana, and I'd love to get our biocontrol people to come out and look at it with us here. We talk about it, and we should get that done. I think there's like a little flea beetle, and then there's these beautiful butterflies and caterpillars. So we see it a little bit, but there's not a whole bunch of it left. And we could find it. We could take people to the sites, but I don't think it's really contributing at this point. We don't have big populations. And maybe historically it did. And then definitely we know, like in other states, that they've really relied on that and seen success. So I'm not going to argue with some of the BLM guy with biocontrol because he knows a lot about weeds, probably much more than I do. Woody invasives, we're continuing that push. We're coming out with some really great new education material. I'm just so proud of ISAN for how they put that together. It's a beautiful thing, something to be super proud of. Then Lincoln County said map has been the success too with tansy ragwort. And I think we do know that. Best herbicides for rush skeleton weed. I always say none of them are the best because it'll come through any of them soon. Generally, we're using group 4 like Method, Tordon, Milestone, Transline, depending on the situation. Best timing, early spring, late fall. Jane Mangold's doing research with indaziflam. I hope that shows some success. That would keep it from spreading from seed. Unfortunately, it's still going to spread by roots. So then we've got, can you send me the Judith Basin County site? Yeah, we can, if you'll send me an email, josh.wagoner at mt.gov, WAGONER. Or if you just Google Montana EDRR, shoot me an email and I can get you more info on the Highwoods site. Let's see, are there any more that we haven't answered? Thank you for getting out the Q&A. Appreciate it. I don't know if Jason has anything to add to that. I was just trying to run through them as fast as I can. We're doing.
I think you're the expert, Josh. You got them covered. But if anybody has any questions or wants to reach out to me, I'd love to talk to you about any of the things we talked about today.
We still got 77 on, and we still got 10 minutes, so we'll just keep going through this. Are we doing much with woody invasives again? Yeah, we've put out some really great educational material, and thanks to ISAN a lot. I mean, many partners have contributed to that, but they've taken the lead. And it's got best management practices, and I'm very proud of them for that. And that's been a lot of people, MISC, BLM, on and on. But we are going to continue to do work, and unfortunately, we've run out of money for ISAN, and I hope that we can keep it going without someone getting paid to direct it. I know a lot of us, even me, I know it's my job, but we can only take on so much. So, and then some of these other groups, like, they can't just take on additional things without receiving any compensation. But there has been some groups that have jumped in at the moment and try to keep it going. I think on August 12th, we're going to do a float. Yellowstone County is really huge. Joe Lockwood for salt cedar and common buckthorn, and they're doing big things. And we're going to tour down there with some politicians. I think that'll end up being August 12th. Keep that on your radar, but we'll talk about that more. What else? I think we're getting through them. We've still got 75 though. I'm proud of you guys for staying on. We're making a good team today. Then CSKT's talking about how they've been mapping the Medusa head. They've pulled cattle off of it to rest it for a couple years. I think they're doing a good job on that. I think we're doing pretty good on Medusa head. Hasn't proved as difficult as Ventonata in Montana to this point. Okay, anything else? Well, thank you all for joining. Thank you for working with us. I know Jason and I really appreciate it because, I mean, that's what we do is work with you guys, and I know we all appreciate Jason. So let's rest for the winter, and I'm ready for another field season already. I'm gonna get going again. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Thanks.